Hello and welcome to Transition New England. I'm your host, Gigi Harrison, and welcome to my channel. The purpose of this channel is to help those within the community with anything that is trans, LGBTQI plus related, and everything in between, and even outside of that. Today I thought I would start with my story, because I'm a huge proponent for you have to be able to talk the talk before you can walk the walk. So I figured I would start here. Like I said, my name is Gigi, and I've been a trans woman now for 4 years. I'm 45 years old, so I started later in life. The thing is, before I transitioned, I was also an open gay man for 20 years. So I made the decision early in 2020 after my mother passed away during COVID. And I have to tell you, it was one of the best decisions I ever made in my life because living as an openly gay man for 20 years felt like it was just living one lie after another. So honestly, when I think back about it, in my experience, technically I've had 2 coming outs. So I was very fortunate as a trans woman to have had the background of the 20 plus years being a gay man. And when I came out, it was in the early 2000s in downtown Boston when I was going to Suffolk University getting my bachelor's. So I learned a lot about the process. And I have to say, this process has probably been more confusing for me only because there is so much information scattered all over the place, and there's always someone's point of view on this, that, or the other. So the point of this channel, when I think about it, or when I was thinking about it and crafting this channel, excuse me, was to try to bring everything together for the community, or at least for those that are looking for someone who's been there, done that. And there is never a shortage of people looking for someone who's been through the process, as it were, especially in these times where, unfortunately, we live in a very tough time right now. That's all I'm going to say about that. But like I said, I was an openly gay man for 20 years, and it just felt like it was one lie after another I was living. And so after my mother passed, like I said, in early of 2020, I decided to stop living the lie. I bit the bullet and said, I'm just going to go for the gold because I know what the pitfalls are. I knew then, I know now, having been an openly gay man, like I said, for 20 years, and I knew what it was like then, so I already knew what to expect now. And the only thing I could say to people about before I did it was I did as much research as possible. And there were all sorts of videos all over the place, but they were so scattered, and I was just like, where do I begin? So, like I said, I begin with myself and briefly touching upon what I did and the steps I personally took. And everything that I'm going to talk about on this channel is going to be based basically on my opinions and what research I've done and what experiences I've gone through. Because essentially in this community, and this is true of the LGBTQI plus community, the resources are scattered. Everyone has their own stories. And don't get me wrong, I've learned a lot from everyone's stories. But I thought, since I'm now gainfully unemployed, I would take the time to use this free time while I'm also in a job search to see if I could lend a hand to the community and to help the community as best as I possibly can. Again, based on my own experiences, so on and so forth. So that was the premise of this channel. And it was also to draw upon my past experiences. And between being a gay man and then a trans woman, I've been through a lot. And I have to tell you, I've also had a lot of good experiences. And believe it or not, and I'm going to save this for other videos, but as part of the job that I recently got laid off from, I should say, was that I got a chance to travel across the country. And I feel like I've almost been to all 50 states, but I know I haven't. There's a few I haven't been to yet. But having done so, between the East Coast, the West Coast, the South, the North, and obviously transition New England, I'm here in the North, I've had a lot of enlightening conversations. Sorry, I can speak this late in the afternoon. And I've learned a lot. I've also been to a lot of the red states as a trans woman. Just let it sink in for a minute. I, as a trans woman, have been to a lot of the red states. And I can tell you, honestly, and my goal is not to dive into politics as easily as it is to do right now. I'm going to leave that to the Cenk Uyghurs over at TYT, the Farron Cousins, and the Jesse Dollimore and his fabulous wife, Brittany Page. I'm going to leave the politics to them for now. Right now, I just want to focus on my brothers and sisters in the community and where I can help. So I'm going to invite everyone to please leave a comment and just ask that all comments be respectful. I do not mind answering any questions I possibly can, so long as those questions are respectful, they are purposeful, and educational. And when I mean educational, and it never ceases to amaze me when I travel, or traveled, I should say, across the country, that I would, even within the LGBTQ community, I would get questions from a lot of people, and they would be very shell-shocked or hesitant to want to ask any questions about transitioning and being transgender, and which was another reason I decided to start this channel. Again, I can really talk this afternoon. It was to help, like I said, while I have the free time in between job searching, to try to see if I could help and bring the education to the community at large, excuse me, on a much larger format. Click on subscribe, and I will also leave my email in the description below. And with that, my little cherubs, I'm going to say a tutelia. And remember, my little cherubs, it's not trashy, it's classy. I'm your host, Gigi Harrison, saying love one another and have a great afternoon.